guys, welcome to another episode of our Duotone Foiling Tech Talks. I'm Klaas and I'm standing here with Jerome Bonieux, our foil designer. And today is gonna be a very exciting and interesting episode because we are talking about our best-selling foil, the Aero Glide. Jerome, who is this wing for and what's the design idea? How did you end up with this design?
Sure. So the design brief for this wing, this being our highest aspect ratio front wing, meaning it has the most span for the surface area. We wanted to make a wing that obviously glided really well, but still kept some nice maneuverability. So if you look at the outline of the front wing, you'll realize that we've sort of concentrated most of the surface area towards the center here with a longer chord length, and then we thin out the tips quite a bit. And what that does is it gives it a lot of grunt right in the middle, but it leaves the wingtips kind of free to accelerate in the turns. And that's, I think, what differentiates this high aspect wing from others in the market, and what makes this wing so popular. Like, it's just a really easy, accessible high aspect front wing that you can still turn and have fun on. So great feedback from our customers. And yeah, the sale numbers don't lie, like.
So how did you end up with this design? I remember we did a couple of different protos. Some were looking pretty straight, and then you played around with the parameters. How was the journey? Like how did you get to that design ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, we played around with different sort of curvature, more curved wings, more sort of flat ones, and we ended up on this one just because it felt the best. Nice. I would say it was the better compromise.
Yeah, I remember we had some that were more curved down and then swinging back.
They felt a little bit too locked.
They were locked,
in roll.
Right? Yeah.
This one felt sort of efficient and loose at the same time. And there's a bit of swept back going on there towards the wingtips, which also help in the turn. And yeah, we've got a profile that's sort of evolving along the length. We've got quite a bit of camber, quite a bit of power in the profile in the center. And towards the tip, we end up on a fairly symmetric profile that is, again, allows that wing to accelerate in the turns and give it those characteristics that, the customers seem to be liking a lot.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be a little bit more advanced rider to get on the glide, not for beginners, because there's more performance, more speed.
It's a little bit harder to get out of the water. You need to get that board going a bit faster. So because of that, let's say it's not as easy as a free or something else. But all things considered, I would still say that you do not need to be a very, very good rider to actually have fun on this one.
So intermediate level.
Intermediate. I mean, if you can't get up on your foil every time, you will be able to get up. Maybe your first few sessions, pick a day where the wind's a bit stronger, just for the start. But once you're in the air, the great thing with the aspect ratio being that high is it just keeps gliding. You've got a lot of time actually when you're doing your tacks, your jives. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you get on a little bump, it just wants to go forward and project, which is great.
That's now talking wing foiling. I recently got really into downwinding. Yeah. And took the 1305, which, I mean, I'm 73, 74 kilos, 1305, great wing for me to start downwind foiling. Yeah. But then we came with two new additions. I mean, the range of the glide for most wingers is from 725, 905, 725 obviously being pretty agile and quick for the lighter guys. Yeah. The 905, kind of the better guys who want to make the step below 1,000. Yeah. I think our best seller is the 1085. Most people coming from let's say 1750 free or 1500 free, then making the step to the glide, opting for that size. 1305, great, really lightweight option for winging. Yeah. And as I said, for the lighter guys, great option to get into downwind paddling. That's how I did my first downwinders. But then for real, like the slightly heavier guys, we came with two new additions. One is this 1595. Yep. So what's differentiates this one to the other ones?
So I mean, the name is the same. It's also the glide, but the wing itself is a bit different. We want even higher aspect ratio for these wings, and we tried to maximize
1.30 m, right?
1.30 m, yeah. And the aspect ratio, I think we go from a 9.5 to a 10.6. So we sort of lose a little bit of that maneuverability that the smaller glides have, and we're trying to get more glide, more projection, better pumping. I personally really like this wing in ridiculously light wind if I need to wing. It just feels like it cuts through the water with so little resistance. It feels efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can, of course, use it for your first sub downwinds as well. As I said, it doesn't like to turn so sharp. So as long as it's sort of small bumps and you're mainly going straight, it's going to be great to get you up. But if you want to, rip some turns on the way, you probably want to.
Not the option.
Yeah, you probably want to stick.
But as you said, to get into downwind paddling, that's a great option for the heavier guys. Slow moving bumps and really light winging.
Really light wind winging. If you've got a light wind spot, I don't know, on lakes or in Dubai or I don't know, light wind locations. This is great for that.
All right, then we have a really big one here, which is also looking quite different outline. Tell us a little bit about this one and the idea behind this one.
Yeah, so that's our 2145, and that's actually a wing that we made specifically to learn to dock start. The profile is completely different.
So it's not for winging.
I mean, I have winged on it again in ridiculously light wind, and you will get going, but you're gonna hit that speed wall pretty quickly, just because of the amount of lift that this wing generates. It generates a lot of lift. So typically, this wing is to be used dock starting when you're pumping, in the 8 knots, maximum 10 knots of speed, and that's where it's kind of generating those 80 kilograms that most riders need to stay up. That's the sort of speed range that this wing is built for. 1.43 m in span. So
same as the amp.
Yeah, same as the amp 1750.
So that's basically the big brother of the amp.
Exactly. So although this one is called the Glide, it's actually kind of closer in a way to the amp because both of them are kind of built for dock starting and pumping. And like if you want to get into dock starting, that's the one to pick for sure.
Now we also have a backwing gnawing here, which is looking different to the C that we just talked about in the free and the lift videos. So tell us a little bit about the P. It's pretty flat.
Yeah. So the P is, as you just said, is a sort of almost completely flat backwing. We got rid of the little curved up wingtips that we have on the C. And the idea is to help in the maneuverability, since these foils, like the glides, are sort of targeted to slightly more advanced riders that actually don't need those wingtips. We kept everything flat. We went for a slightly higher aspect ratio than the C, and helps with the pumping. But yeah, still a great sort of stabilizer to use for winging. Works well at high speed. It sort of keeps that sort of little front foot pressure that you like when you wing. And so yeah, you can check on your front wings. We sort of recommend, for example, this 905, we recommend using the P180. But of course, if you want to play around and use a smaller, a bigger stab, or if you want to start picking in one of our new S stabilizers, you can. They are still going to work. But yeah, generally for winging, we recommend using the P180.
So, and for winging, you would basically go for the recommended size. I personally feel like I'm more efficient sizing down a little bit when I'm downwind foiling.
Yep.
Maybe give us a few words about that. What's the theory behind that? I feel like this bigger stabilizer, which I like to have that front foot power
when you're winging,
is nice, but then it kind of is not as efficient when I'm trying to pump or downwind foil and maneuver around through the bumps.
It basically comes down to the speed that you're using the front wing at. So winging, typically you're probably around 20 knots. and downwinding, you're probably around 10, 12 knots. And because of that, you don't need as much push from the back wing. And that's why you probably prefer going a little bit smaller. You could also look into our new range of S back wings, which have a different profile, and they are running a less angle of attack. So they are also generating less push downwards.
Same as the H from the amp.
Same as the H from the amp. So that's another option that you can combine with your glide if you want even better pumping, even better gliding, as you're saying, on bumps. The reason why we sort of recommend pairing it with the P is that 75 to 80% of our customers are still wingers. So that's why we say, listen, if you're going to be winging and every now and then doing a little bit of pumping, a little bit of gliding, that's still the better option. But if you're fully into your downwinding and that's all you do,
or prone foiling with this one,
prone foiling or something, and you want better performance, better pumping performance, and you're going to be using these wings in a speed range that's a little bit lower than winging, then size down or take one of the S surf stabilizer, the new ones.
Okay. Yeah. Do you do anything in terms of fuselage length recommendation? You have a special recommendation for the glide, or you think middle ground 66 is the one to go to?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the 66 for sure. If you want to carve some tighter turns or use these ones for freestyling, because at the end of the day you can also freestyle on these wings. I like going with the 60 in that case. So yeah, comes down to personal preference. Both will work for sure.
But most people will be just fine getting a 66 because they're already advanced in their wing game. Yeah. Getting the 66, and you're going to be
probably what I recommend. Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks, Jerome. Cool. I hope this infos and all this content was helpful for you guys. If you think it was, give us a like and subscribe to get more of these episodes in your channel. And I hope to see you in the next one.